Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. There are forests where the wind sings, forests where the rivers whisper, forests where shadows move softly between the roots. But only one forest remembers the moon. They called it Lunareth, a name barely spoken, more often breathed, as if the syllables themselves might vanish if touched too loudly. For centuries, Lunareth lay silent. Its trees grew tall and dark, their bark silvered like frost. Moss blanketed the earth in pale green sheets that glowed faintly under starlight. And at the center of that forest stood a clearing, perfectly round, untouched by time. The villagers said it was a place where the moon once fell. Not shattered, not broken, simply rested. The moon had touched the earth only for a moment, but the impression of its light had seeped into the soil, the roots, the leaves, the stones, until the entire forest carried a memory of silver radiance. No one entered Lunareth at night, except Alara. Alara had always heard things others did not. When she was a child, she heard the soft hum of river stones warming under the sun. She heard the laughter of fallen leaves swirling in autumn breezes. And at night, when the world settled into dreams, she heard something else. A heartbeat, slow, deep, ancient. The heartbeat of the forest. No one believed her, not even her grandmother, who had raised her by the edge of Lunareth. Alara, she would say gently, brushing silver hair from her face. Forests do not have heartbeats, but Alara knew better. Every time she stepped near the boundary of Lunareth, where the silver trees leaned inward like guardians, she felt a pull, a calling, as if the forest knew her, recognized her, and waited. On the night of her 17th birthday, the forest finally spoke. The moon had risen full and radiant, casting a pale glow across the hills. The villagers lit lanterns and closed shutters, for full moons were nights of strange tales. Wandering spirits, dreaming animals, restless waters. Alara felt the pull stronger than ever. The silver trees of Lunareth shimmered at the edge of sight, their trunks gleaming like pillars of moonlight. Alara, her grandmother warned as she headed for the door, "Do not go near the forest tonight." "I have to," Alara whispered. Her grandmother's face softened with fear and resignation. "You are too much like your mother." Alara paused. "What do you mean?" But her grandmother said nothing more. She simply turned away, clasping trembling hands together. Alara stepped into the night. The forest waited. As she crossed the boundary into Lunareth, the temperature shifted. The air cooled. The wind stilled. The moonlight deepened into something more tangible. A silver glow that clung to her skin like soft dust. The trees towered above her, their branches woven so tightly that only threads of moonlight pierced through. "Alara!" She froze. The voice was not loud, not human. It felt like a breath carried by the leaves. "Alara!" The forest was speaking. Her heart raced, but she stepped forward. "Why do you call me?" she whispered. The silver bark of the nearest tree shimmered faintly, as if answering. A pulse echoed through the ground, slow, rhythmic. The forest's heartbeat. She had been right. The heartbeat grew louder as she walked deeper into Lunareth. The trees seemed to lean toward her, their branches brushing the air above her head like fingers reaching to touch a long-lost memory. Elara! This time the voice came from everywhere. From the roots, from the leaves, from the distant clearing she had never reached. She followed it. The deeper she ventured, the more the forest changed. The trees became taller, their trunks glowing with faint silver lines that pulsed like veins. The ground softened, covered in pale moss that shimmered under her footsteps. Strange flowers bloomed, white petals shaped like crescent moons. Something ancient moved through Lunareth, something waking. When Elara finally reached the clearing, she stopped breathing. Moonlight poured into the space like a waterfall of silver. The air shimmered, the ground glowed softly, and in the center of the clearing stood the oldest tree she had ever seen. Its trunk was massive, twisted with age, its bark glowing with luminous patterns that spiraled like constellations. The branches reached high, supporting leaves that glowed like stars. It was not just a tree, it was the heart tree of Lunareth. Elara! The voice came from the heart tree itself. She stepped closer. The patterns on the bark pulsed gently, silver flowing like liquid moonlight across its surface. "Why are you calling me?" she whispered. The clearing brightened, and then a fragment of moonlight drifted down like a falling feather, hovering before her. "Elara!" The forest whispered through the glowing air. "The moon remembers you." Her eyes widened. "That's not possible." But the forest answered, "Your mother came to us once, and she carried the moon's blessing." Elara's breath caught. "My mother?" The glowing fragment pulsed softly. "And now the blessing runs in you." The forest's heartbeat quickened, a deep, echoing thrum. "The moon grows dim," the voice murmured. "Its memory is fading, and with it, Lunareth sleeps." Elara stepped closer to the shimmering fragment. "What must I do?" The moonlight curled around her fingers like warm silk. "Wake the trees." Before she could ask how, the clearing trembled. The luminous leaves shivered. The branches groaned softly. The silver patterns on the heart tree brightened. "Elara," the forest whispered, urgent now. "The night the trees wake has begun." And the light enveloped her. The light that enveloped Elara did not burn. It warmed her softly, deeply, like a memory settling into her bones rather than touching her skin. The clearing dissolved into silver haze, and for a moment she felt weightless, suspended between heartbeat and breath. When the light faded, she was no longer standing. She was floating. Elara hovered above the clearing, bathed in moonlight that flowed like living water. Below her, the heart tree pulsed with radiant veins. The entire forest trembled as though stretching after a long, dreamless sleep. "Elara!" The voice echoed through her mind, clearer now, shaped by purpose. "Your mother once stood where you stand. She carried the moon's blessing but could not complete the awakening." Elara's breath hitched. "What awakening?" "The trees of Lunareth remember the moon, but memory fades. They need a guardian, a voice to echo the moon's call. A guardian." "Elara," the forest whispered. "You have the gift she had, but you also have what she lacked." "What is that?" "Courage to step into the unknown." The soft pull of gravity returned, and Alara descended gently to the forest floor. When her feet touched the glowing moss, the heart tree brightened. Its bark parted. A crack appeared at its center, widening like a door opening into ancient light. Alara hesitated, heart pounding. Inside the heart tree, something shimmered. A pool of liquid moonlight. It swirled slowly, glowing like distilled silver. Step forward, the forest murmured. Alara knelt beside the pool. Her reflection stared back at her. Wide eyes, tangled hair, trembling hands. But the reflection shifted. Her eyes glowed faintly. Silver lines traced along her cheeks like markings of light. She followed it. The deeper she ventured, the more the forest changed. The trees became taller, their trunks glowing with faint silver lines that pulsed like veins. The ground softened, covered in pale moss that shimmered under her footsteps. Strange flowers bloomed, white petals shaped like crescent moons. Something ancient moved through Lunareth, something waking. When Alara finally reached the clearing, she stopped breathing. Moonlight poured into the space like a waterfall of silver. The air shimmered. The ground glowed softly. And in the center of the clearing stood the oldest tree she had ever seen. Its trunk was massive, twisted with age, its bark glowing with luminous patterns that spiraled like constellations. The branches reached high, supporting leaves that glowed like stars. It was not just a tree. It was the heart tree of Lunareth. Alara! The voice came from the heart tree itself. She stepped closer. The patterns on the bark pulsed gently, silver flowing like liquid moonlight across its surface. "Why are you calling me?" she whispered. The clearing brightened, and then a fragment of moonlight drifted down like a falling feather, hovering before her. "Alara!" The forest whispered through the glowing air. "The moon remembers you." Her eyes widened. "That's not possible." But the forest answered, "Your mother came to us once, and she carried the moon's blessing." Alara's breath caught. "My mother?" The glowing fragment pulsed softly. "And now the blessing runs in you." The forest's heartbeat quickened, a deep, echoing thrum. "The moon grows dim," the voice murmured. "Its memory is fading, and with it, Lunareth sleeps." Alara stepped closer to the shimmering fragment. "What must I do?" The moonlight curled around her fingers like warm silk. "Wake the trees." Before she could ask how, the clearing trembled. "She carried shame," the spirit said softly. "But shame is not truth. The truth is this. She protected you from the path she feared." Alara lowered her eyes. "And now the path belongs to you." The spirit lifted their gaze toward the treetops. "Lunareth is stirring. The moon grows dim. If its memory fades entirely, the forest will fall into eternal sleep." Alara clenched her hands, feeling the silver light inside pulse with determination. "What must I do?" The spirit extended a hand. "You must awaken the 4 moon-bearing trees. Without them, the heart tree cannot remain awake." Alara nodded slowly. "Where are they?" The spirit's eyes darkened with worry. "Scattered across Lunareth, hidden by centuries of dreams, protected by creatures who were shaped by sleep." The ground trembled again, stronger this time. Leaves shivered. The forest moaned like something shifting from one dream to another. "There is little time," the spirit said urgently. "The first of the moon-bearing trees lies to the north, beyond the whispering ferns." Alara took a deep breath. "Then I'll go." The spirit stepped closer. "Before you leave, understand this. The forest will test you, not out of cruelty, but because awakening requires truth, and truth requires courage." Alara nodded. "I'm not afraid." The spirit's gaze softened. "Your mother said the same thing." Alara froze. "Did she awaken a tree?" The spirit hesitated. "She tried." "What happened?" "She found the first tree." The spirit's voice trembled. "But what she saw there made her turn back." Alara's stomach twisted with dread. "What did she see?" The spirit shook their head. "That is a truth for you to discover." Alara felt a cold pulse travel through her veins. The forest rumbled again. "Alara," the spirit whispered, "go now. Follow the moon's pull. And remember, your mother did not fail. She simply did not finish." Alara stepped toward the northern path. The silver-marked leaves bent away from her touch, parting like curtains. The guardian spirit called after her. "When the trees wake, the moon will return." Alara glanced back. The clearing glowed, the heart tree pulsing like a great silver heart. She whispered, "I won't run." Not like she did. The forest replied with a soft, approving hum. And Alara walked into the deeper shadows of Lunareth, toward the first sleeping tree. Alara stepped into the deeper shadows of Lunareth, guided only by the faint glow pulsing beneath her skin. Each silver vein of moonlight shimmered with every heartbeat, pointing her toward the north like a quiet, living compass. The forest shifted as she walked. The silver-barked trees grew taller, their branches arching into vaulted shapes that resembled the ribs of some ancient celestial creature. Luminescent fungi dotted the ground, casting pale blue halos around her footsteps. The air thickened with the scent of night-blooming flowers, cool, sweet, and faintly metallic. "Alara!" The whisper trembled through the leaves again. But this time the voice was different, sharper, urgent. "Alara, hurry!" The forest was waking, and something else was waking with it. The whispering ferns lay ahead. They grew in a dense wall of pale green, taller than Alara, each frond shimmering with a strange ripple, as if touched by a breeze that she could not feel. When she stepped toward them, the ferns whispered in unison, their voices layered and soft. "Turn back." She turned back. "Not all truths can be carried." Alara swallowed hard. "My mother came this way," she whispered. The ferns shivered. "Yes," she crossed, but she feared what she saw. Alara pressed her glowing palms gently against the ferns. "I'm not afraid." The ferns answered with a low, mournful sigh, then parted. Their fronds curled away from her, forming a narrow path. Alara stepped through. The forest beyond the ferns was darker. Not dead, never dead, but dim, as though the moonlight that once lived here had been drained away. The trees grew in twisting patterns, their branches warped toward a central point. The air felt colder, heavy, presence watched her. Elara! She spun, but nothing moved. Then the ground trembled. She reached a clearing unlike the heart tree's gentle sanctuary. This clearing pulsed with a hollow, muted echo, like a heartbeat struggling to begin. At its center stood the first moon-bearing tree. But it was not awake. Its bark was blackened, as if scorched by shadow. Silver carvings, a mirror of the heart tree's constellations, lay dormant, dark, cracked. Its branches drooped, weighed down by centuries of sleep. At its roots pooled a faint mist that shifted like ancient breath. Elara stepped closer. The moment her foot crossed the boundary of roots, a cold shock pierced her veins. The dormant tree stirred, not with light, but with memory. Elara gasped as visions flooded her. Her mother stumbling through the same clearing. Her mother standing where Elara stood now. Her mother reaching out, then recoiling in terror. Her cries swallowed by the forest's silence. Elara fell to her knees, clutching her chest. What happened to her? The tree answered, not with words, with shadows. Before Elara, a shape formed, humanoid, tall, made of swirling darkness. Its eyes glowed a ghostly silver. It moved with the slow, inevitable grace of a nightmare pulled from sleep. Elara backed away. You were here when my mother came. The shadow tilted its head. Then it spoke. A guardian fails when fear is stronger than memory. Its voice was like wind passing through hollow stone. Elara steadied her breath. So my mother ran because she feared you? The shadow shook its head. No, she feared herself. Elara froze. What does that mean? The shadow reached toward her, slowly, carefully, and touched her chest with a single finger made of swirling night. A pulse of cold shot through her. Her own memory cracked open. Her mother holding her as a baby. Her mother crying beneath moonlight. Her mother whispering, I can't finish it, forgive me. The shadow withdrew. Elara trembled. She wanted to wake the trees, the shadow whispered. But the truth she saw here was too heavy. What truth? Elara asked, voice shaking. The guardian-shaped shadow lifted an arm. The dormant moon-bearing tree groaned. This cracked bark shimmered with weak silver lines. Elara? The tree whispered, its voice thin and ancient. Daughter of the moon's blessing. Elara pressed her glowing hands to its trunk. How do I wake you? The shadow stepped behind her. Face. The truth your mother fled. Elara turned slowly. What truth? The shadow extended its hand. Moonlight erupted from the ground. Sharp, blinding, cold. And from that light formed a figure. Her breath stopped. It was her mother. Not alive. Not a ghost. A memory the forest had kept. Her mother stood before her, eyes glowing softly, a silver scar etched across her cheek. Elara, the memory whispered, my brave child. Elara stumbled back, overwhelmed with grief she didn't know she'd been carrying. You left, she whispered. You disappeared. You never returned. Her mother's memory reached for her. I didn't want to leave you, but I could not bear the truth Lunareth showed me. What truth? Elara cried. Her mother's memory placed a hand over her heart. where the moonlight pulsed beneath Alara's skin. The blessing runs through you, but blessings also carry burdens. Alara shook her head. I don't understand. You will, the Shadow Guardian said softly. If you choose to. Alara looked between them. Her mother's memory, the Shadow Guardian, the dormant moon-bearing tree, all waiting, all watching. Alara, her mother whispered, the tree will only wake for truth, not for courage alone. Alara swallowed hard. What truth must I accept? Her mother's memory nodded toward the tree. That you were born from moonlight and from sacrifice. Alara froze. Sacrifice? Her mother's eyes filled with sorrow. I didn't leave you. Her voice trembled. I gave up my place in Lunareth so you could live. The ground shook. Moonlight flared. Alara felt the truth crack open like a seed in her chest. The Shadow Guardian lowered its head. Now choose. Run from it, or embrace it. Alara lifted her trembling hands. I embrace it. She pressed her palms to the moon-bearing tree. Silver exploded from the bark. Light raced through the cracks, filling them, restoring them. The tree shuddered. Once, twice, then woke. Its leaves flared with brilliant lunar glow. Its branches rose, shedding centuries of sleep. Its roots pulsed like veins rediscovering life. The clearing roared with the sound of awakening. The memory of her mother began to fade. Alara! She reached out. Do what I could not. Alara grabbed her fading hand. I will. The memory dissolved. The Shadow Guardian bowed. Alara. The first tree is awake. Alara wiped her eyes, breath unsteady. Where are the others? The forest whispered from every direction. East, south, west. Alara stood tall. Her hands glowed brighter now. I'm ready. And Lunareth hummed in agreement. Alara moved eastward. The forest shifted around her with every step, branches bending in her direction, moss brightening beneath her feet, moonlit veins pulsing softly along the trunks. Lunareth was awake now, not fully, but enough to feel her presence, enough to guide her. The air carried a new tone, a low, harmonious hum, like distant singing. Alara! The voice carried on the wind, soft, layered, ancient. The forest was speaking again. Follow the song, follow the echo. Alara placed a hand over her glowing chest, grounding herself. The awakening of the first moon-bearing tree had changed her. The moonlight inside her veins pulsed stronger now, brighter, steadier. Her senses felt sharper, her steps lighter, and the moon's pull clearer than ever. But the memory of her mother lingered behind her eyes, a mixture of warmth and ache. She sacrificed everything so I could stand here, Alara whispered. The trees answered with a gentle rustle. The landscape gradually shifted. Tall silverwoods gave way to slender birch-like trunks with shimmering white leaves. The ground sloped downward, revealing a shallow valley where pale blue mist drifted in swirling patterns. Then she heard it, a melody, not human, not quite natural, a song woven from wind, memory, and something older than both. Alara followed the melody. The deeper she walked into the mist, the more the song grew complex, layered harmonies whispering from all directions. It felt as if the air itself was singing, until she saw them, the echoing trees. Dozens of white, slender trees forming a circle, each one vibrating subtly as the song flowed through their trunks. Their bark shimmered like frost, and their roots twisted together along the ground in luminous patterns. At the center of the circle stood the second moon-bearing tree. It was different from the first, not darkened or dormant, but fractured. Its trunk was split down the middle, a jagged wound glowing with dim lunar light. Its branches drooped as though weighed by sorrow. Its leaves flickered like dying candle flames. Elara! The voice of the tree was faint, barely a memory. She stepped forward. The moment her foot touched the circle of echoing trees, the song changed, turned darker, heavier, like a cry buried inside music. Elara, beware, the wind whispered. The ground beneath her pulsed. A shape formed behind her, a ripple in the mist. Elara spun. A creature stepped forward, tall, slender, made of mist and shadow, its body shifting like smoke caught in moonbeams. Its eyes glowed an eerie white, an echo wraith, a guardian born from the second tree's fractured memory. Elara, it whispered, and its voice sounded like her mother's. Elara stiffened. That's not real, she said firmly. You're taking her voice. The wraith tilted its head, and its form rippled. Elara, why did you leave me? It asked, this time in her grandmother's voice. Alara's breath hitched. No. Stop. The wraith stepped closer, its body flickering through shapes. Her mother, her grandmother, a childhood friend, a stranger, a faceless figure. Why didn't you save me? Why weren't you there? Why do you think you are chosen? Why should the forest trust you? The voices piled on one another, echoing inside her skull. Elara fell to her knees, covering her ears. Stop, stop. The echoing trees vibrated violently. The wraith grew taller, splitting into multiple forms made of sound and sorrow. Elara, the second tree whispered weakly. Do not fight the echoes. Understand them. Elara forced herself up, hands trembling. What are you? She asked the wraith. The wraith paused. Its shape softened, its edges blurred. The voices faded to a whisper. I am everything you fear you are, it said slowly, and everything you fear you are not. Alara's heart pounded. The wraith continued. I am the doubts your mother carried. I am the guilt she bore. I am the echoes she left behind. Elara stared at it. You fed on her fear. The wraith nodded. As I feed on yours. Elara lifted her head. But I am not my mother. The wraith stilled. And I will not run. Calm settled over her. She stepped forward, placing her glowing hand against the wraith's chest. His form shuddered. Fear exists, Elara whispered, but it does not rule me, and it did not define her. The wraith rippled violently. She left you, it hissed. She protected me, Elara said, and now I protect Lunareth. Her moonlit veins brightened. The wraith shrieked, splitting apart into strands of mist and light. The echoing tree's song rose, no longer a cry, but a harmony. The second moon-bearing tree straightened. Its cracked trunk pulsed. Its leaves glowed brighter. Silver light surged through its wound, healing it from within. Alara pressed her hands to its bark. "Wake!" she whispered. A burst of moonlight shot upward. The echoing trees rang like chimes. The mist cleared, and the second tree opened its luminous eyes. "Alara," it breathed, whole once more. "You carry the moon's truth." Alara stepped back, chest heaving. "That's two," she whispered. "Where is the third?" The forest answered in a deep rumble. "South." Alara turned toward the shifting trees. "I'm coming," she said, and Lunareth opened the path. Alara stepped south. The forest darkened again, not with menace, but with depth. The silver glow of the awakened trees pulsed behind her like heartbeats fading into distance. Here, Lunareth's breath grew slower, heavier, as though the southern groves still slumbered under centuries of deep dream. The moonlight in her veins flickered gently. "Alara," the forest whispered. "Be careful." The path dipped downward, twisting between roots as thick as serpents. Fireflies drifted around her, their glow dimmer than usual, as if even they were sleepy. Far ahead, she heard something, a low, rhythmic rumble. Not a creature, not a river, something older. A snore. Alara blinked. A tree is snoring? The forest rustled, almost amused. Yes. The air warmed as she walked. The scent of soil thickened. The roots grew larger until they formed archways overhead. Massive, curled structures that resembled ribs of giants sleeping beneath the earth. Then she saw it. The third moon-bearing tree. Alara's breath caught. It was enormous, far larger than the first two, its trunk wide enough to hold a small home inside. Its bark was deep gold, glowing faintly like dying embers. Silver rings circled the trunk like the phases of the moon, each one dim, as if waiting for someone to strike a spark. But the most striking part was the roots. They spread across the ground like huge limbs, rising and falling with slow, rumbling breaths. The tree was asleep, deeply asleep. "Alara," the forest whispered, hesitant. "This one does not wake easily." Alara stepped closer, feeling warmth radiate from the trunk. "Why hasn't it woken?" she asked. "Because this tree represents rest," the forest answered. "Dream, reflection, the moon's stillness. Its sleep is sacred. And I have to wake it," Alara murmured. The ground rumbled as the tree inhaled. The roots lifted several inches, then thumped back down. Alara steadied herself. "How?" A low growl echoed behind her. She spun. A creature lumbered from between the roots, a massive wolf-like being made of bark, moss, and moonlit sap. Its eyes glowed white. Its breath smelled of pine and sleep. A dream wolf, guardian of the sleeping tree. It lowered its head, sniffing the air. "Alara?" It rumbled, its voice vibrating like distant thunder. "Daughter of moon memory." Alara swallowed. "Are you here to stop me?" The wolf shook its great head slowly. "I am here to test you." It circled her, You carry the moon's light, but to wake the sleeping tree, you must understand the dream it protects. Alara frowned. What dream? The wolf's eyes softened. The dream of forgetting. Alara froze. For the first time she hesitated. What do you mean? The dream wolf lay down, resting its head on massive paws. Every soul carries memories that ache, wounds that linger, shadows that cling. This tree exists to hold them, to let beings rest, to let them forget. Alara bowed her head. My mother! Yes, the wolf murmured. She came here. She asked the tree to take her memories, to let her forget the burden of the moon. Alara's chest tightened painfully. She wanted to stay? She wanted peace, the wolf answered. But the forest would not let her. She was not meant to forget. Alara trembled. What happened to her when she asked? The wolf's gaze grew heavy. She slept. Did she wake? Yes, but not the way she wished. Alara felt a knot tighten in her throat. What must I do? The wolf rose. Enter the dream. Before she could respond, the wolf touched its forehead to hers. The world vanished. Alara found herself standing in darkness. No trees, no wind, no moon, only shadows shifting like cold breath. Alara, a voice whispered behind her. Her mother's voice. Alara spun around. A figure approached, made of moonlight and mist, soft and incomplete. Her mother. Alara. Alara stepped forward, tears burning her eyes. Mother. Her mother raised a trembling hand. You shouldn't be here. I came to wake the tree, Alara whispered. Her mother shook her head. Not all wounds should be awakened. The shadows around them pulsed. Alara, her mother whispered. You don't understand the burden I carried. Alara swallowed. Then show me. Her mother hesitated. Then she opened her hands. Light spilled out, harsh, cold, painful. Memories flooded Alara. Her mother kneeling before the heart tree. Her mother begging the forest to take away her fear. Her mother screaming as visions overwhelmed her. Visions of Alara's future. Visions of Lunaretha's fate. Visions of loss. Alara cried out, clutching her chest. It was too much, her mother whispered. I wanted to forget. I wanted peace. But the forest gave me a daughter instead. A daughter born from moonlight. Alara fell to her knees. You didn't abandon me, she breathed. Her mother knelt beside her. No, I ran because I thought I was too weak. But you are stronger. The shadows softened into warm dusk. Alara, her mother said gently, to wake the sleeping tree, you must forgive me. Alara looked up, tears streaming. I do. I always have. Her mother smiled. A smile full of sorrow and love. Then the dream ends. Light burst around them. Alara gasped and opened her eyes. The dream wolf stood over her. The forest trembled. The sleeping tree shuddered violently, its silver rings beginning to glow. Alara rose weakly and pressed her palms to the warm trunk. I forgive her. The tree breathed deeply. Then, boom, a shock wave of moonlight erupted from the trunk. The rings blazed like phases of the moon. The bark brightened with flowing silver. The roots lifted from the ground, shaking off centuries of slumber. The tree woke. Its voice echoed through the forest. Alara, Dreamwalker, you have freed me. Alara exhaled shakily. That's 3. The dream wolf bowed its great head. Only one remains. Alara steadied herself. Where? The forest whispered. West, where moonlight becomes shadow. Alara turned toward the west, determination blazing in her eyes. I'm ready. The dream wolf rumbled approvingly. Go, child of moon memory, and may all your shadows find light. Alara stepped into the deepening trees. Toward the final trial, Alara walked west. The forest grew darker with every step. Not the darkness of sleep nor shadow, but the darkness of waiting. The kind that gathers just before dawn. The air felt colder here, heavier. The moonlight in her veins flickered as if bracing itself. Alara, the forest whispered, faint and trembling. The last tree, fears waking. A chill crawled down her spine. The western groves of Lunareth were unlike the others. The trees grew closer together, their branches weaving into dense canopies that swallowed most of the light. Silver moss hung like veils from branches, dimly glowing as she passed. The silence was total, so deep she could hear the soft thrum of her heartbeat echoing back at her. Then she saw it, the 4th moon-bearing tree. Her breath caught. It was beautiful and terrifying. Its trunk rose tall and slender like a column of moonlight turned solid, but its bark was split by deep fractures that leaked shadow. Silver leaves trembled weakly on the branches, half luminous, half swallowed by darkness. Alara took a step closer. The ground cracked behind her. She whirled. Shadows pulled themselves from the earth, long fingers rising like smoke. A figure formed, then another, and another, a dozen shapes, then dozens more shadow figures with hollow eyes and silent mouths. Not guardians, not spirits, fears. Alara? The forest whispered, voice trembling. These are the fears the tree swallowed over centuries, fears the moon could not bear. The shadows surged forward, surrounding her in a tightening ring. Voices whispered from within them. You will fail. You are not your mother. You are not strong enough. Lunareth will fall. You will be left alone. Alara clenched her fists. No. But a deeper voice rose, a voice that carried weight, agony, and truth. Her own. You are afraid. Alara stiffened. The shadows parted in front of her, and a new figure stepped through. Her, a perfect silhouette of herself, carved from shadow and moonlight. It walked with her stride, held her posture, met her gaze without blinking. I am your fear, the shadow said softly. I am everything you hide. Alara's stomach twisted. What do you want? To stop you. Why? Her shadow self stepped closer. Because when the trees wake, the moon will return. And when the moon returns, the truth will be complete. Alara's voice trembled. What truth? Her shadow self raised a trembling hand, touching the same place on her chest where the moonlight pulsed. That you were born from sacrifice. that your mother gave up her place in Lunareth, that the moon marked you before you ever took your first breath. Your path was chosen without you. Alara flinched. Her shadow's eyes softened. And that terrifies you. Alara lowered her gaze. Yes. Her fear lifted her chin gently. You think the blessing binds you, but it frees you. Alara looked up. The shadow stepped back, spreading its arms. Face me. Accept me. Only then will the final tree wake. Alara breathed deeply. I'm done running from what scares me. She placed her hand on her shadow's chest. Her shadow placed its hand on hers. Moonlight flared. The shadows surrounding them dissolved into silver dust. Alara's fear melted into her, rejoining her heart. And the fourth moon-bearing tree shuddered. Its fractures glowed bright, blinding, like lightning trapped inside crystal. The tree inhaled sharply, its branches trembling like wings remembering how to open. Alara stepped forward, placing both hands on the trunk. Wake, she whispered. The forest held its breath. Then, a pillar of pure moonlight shot upward. It pierced the canopy, slicing through branches, splitting the night sky open. Stars rippled outward like stones thrown into water. Silver winds swept the forest, rustling leaves in rising crescendos. One by one, the moon-bearing trees answered. The first tree glowed from the north. The second sang with silver harmonics from the east. The third breathed hot moonlight from the south. And now the fourth blazed with shadow-born light from the west. Their voices joined, and Lunareth woke. The ground vibrated. Leaves lifted in spirals of silver. Roots untangled and rerouted. The heart tree awoke fully, exploding with radiant moonlight that filled the clearing where it stood. Alara! The forest whispered, loud, unified, alive. Moon daughter, you have returned our memory. Alara fell to her knees, overwhelmed. She watched as thousands of tiny lights rose like floating fireflies. Memories of the moon, lost moments, old dreams, returning to the sky. The moon itself brightened overhead, swelling with silver radiance until it bathed the entire forest in shimmering light. For the first time in centuries, Lunareth saw the moon, and remembered it. A soft glow formed beside Alara. The guardian spirit emerged, the same figure who had spoken to her after the first awakening. Their eyes shone brighter now, constellation-like. Alara, they whispered, kneeling beside her. You have done what your mother could not. Alara nodded slowly. I understand her now, and I forgive her. She knows, the spirit said gently. All mothers hear forgiveness when it's spoken with truth. Alara closed her eyes, letting the moment wash over her. What happens now? She whispered. The spirit smiled. Now the moon returns to its rightful place, and the forest's blessing becomes yours. Alara's chest glowed with intense silver light. It didn't burn. It bloomed, expanding outward like a flower of radiance. Alara. The forest spoke through the trees, through the winds, through the moonlight itself. You are the new guardian of Lunareth, awakened by moonlight, strengthened by truth, guided by courage. Alara felt the forest settle into her. its heartbeat aligning with her own. "I accept," she whispered. Silver markings formed across her skin, gentle, crescent-shaped. The moonlight in her veins steadied, becoming warm, full, eternal. And then the entire forest bowed. Every tree, every vine, every living root of Lunareth bent in gratitude. "Alara," the forest breathed. "Guardian." She rose slowly. Moonlight draped around her like a cloak. Stars shimmered above. The heart tree pulsed one final time, and the forest whispered, "Thank you for waking us." Alara stepped into the clearing, looking up at the radiant moon. Her mother's memory warmed her heart. Her fears no longer held her. She was no longer a girl seeking answers. She was the guardian, and Lunareth was alive. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.